Digital libraries implement a data lifecycle model that tracks the stages of a dataset from its creation to its long-term preservation. The traditional stages for a data lifecycle model include creation of a data object, appraisal of a data object for inclusion in a collection. Desired attributes that are checked may include data format, provenance, description, access rights, and a unique identifier. Ingestion of a data object into a collection. The desired attributes are saved as a context for the dataset. Preservation of a data object through creation of an archival information package, an AIP. The context for the dataset is packaged with the data in a standard structure within an AIP. Storage of a data object in a repository. A mapping is defined between the physical storage location and a unique identifier for the data object to enable retrieval. Access of data objects from the repository. This requires both authentication and authorization mechanisms. Finally, transformation of a data object to create derived products. The process then repeats for the new derived data product. This viewpoint emphasizes reuse of data sets and a life cycle where the data sets are continually evolving. The Digital Curation Center in the United Kingdom separates the life cycle into curation and preservation steps shown here. The data lifecycle steps related to access, transformation, creation, and appraisal are characterized as curation. The steps related to ingestion, preservation, and storage are characterized as preservation. Another way to think of this is that curation is the active process of generating a context for a data set. Preservation is the active process of storing and maintaining the data set and its context. A key observation about the data lifecycle model is that the creation of a context for a dataset is essential to enable reuse. The context for multiple files is arranged as a collection with attributes that define how the dataset is related to similar datasets. A single data object by itself is less useful. Use of datasets is improved when relationships are defined between datasets. Instead of a data lifecycle, we can think in terms of a collection lifecycle. The collection is characterized by the policies and procedures that are used to enforce the context for the data objects. The collection lifecycle, shown here, tracks the stages that a collection may transition through. At each stage, the policies evolve to meet the requirements of a broader user community. Even though the files managed by the collection may not have changed, the policies for user access or management of technology choices may need to change to represent the consensus of the larger community. The virtualization of a collection lifecycle is achieved by describing the changes that are made to the controlling policies. This quantifies a requirement for National Science Foundation projects to track the broadening of the user community. Each stage of the collection lifecycle defines the policies required by a broader user community, from the original project members to shared collections to digital libraries to archives and federated repositories. The stages of the collection lifecycle correspond to new requirements for the data object's context. The original creators of a collection have complete tacit knowledge of the data formats, description, provenance, and structure. As the user community broadens, this tacit knowledge must be made explicit in the form of metadata attributes. The policies that define how these requirements will be met constitute a measure of the impact of the collection on the broader user community. Examples of 6 collection lifecycle stages are examined in the Policy Templates workbook. Policies are defined for data sharing within a project, publication of data within a digital library, management of data within a data center, preservation of data, management of protected data access, and enforcement of NSF data management plans. Each of these policy sets addresses the requirements of a different user community. For example, the management of protected data requires the careful tracking of every access, the verification that all accesses were permitted, and the generation of reports that track every access violation. A collection lifecycle can be virtualized as the corresponding policy evolution. The changes to the management policies can be correlated to changes in the user community and tracked to illustrate broadening of impact. Take 7 minutes to complete exercise 13. Write a paragraph on the stages of a collection life cycle important to your collaboration. Do you need to combine policies from multiple stages to enforce collection properties? Will your policies evolve over time as the driving purpose for the collaboration evolves? Please load your paragraph into the Lifetime Library in the sub-collection class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.